You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Samia Sayed. Welcome to the show. Coming up later, we have an interview with Maduba Ahmad over being awarded the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers. But first, let's go over some headlines. Top Canadian CEOs earn more in 5 hours than annual income of average worker. National Anti-Racism Fund opens for applications. Black students suspended for wearing hoodies and earrings in Peel schools. U.S. marks 1-year anniversary of attack on U.S. Capitol. And now the details. Canadian CEOs made $95,000 more in 2020 than 2019, according to the report Another Year in Paradise, CEO Pay in 2020. This is 191 times higher than the yearly earnings of an average worker in Canada. The data gathered of 100 top CEOs by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives shows that they earned more before their first lunch hour in 2022 than an average worker would in the whole year. Senior economist David McDonald told local media sources that low-wage workers suffer more during economic downturns. The Canadian Race Relations Foundations, otherwise known as CRRF, opened applications for their National Anti-Racism Fund on Tuesday. The $3 million funds can be used by nonprofit organizations, community, and youth groups to design programs that develop and apply knowledge to eliminate racism and discrimination from Canadian society. The program should combat systemic barriers and foster intercultural community cohesion. CRRF's Executive Director Mohammed Hashim said that the grant will give much-needed funding for community organizations to be the driving force for societal change. The application portal will close on January 28th. Black students are suspended at a much higher rate than others, found a recent report by the Peel District School Board on student discipline reform. Despite only accounting for over 10% of the student population, Black students make up almost 23% of suspensions. Moreover, 78% of suspended secondary students were disciplined for unspecified reasons. Some students were allegedly disciplined for wearing hoodies and hoop earrings. The report is an update by Ontario's Ministry of Education to investigate the disproportionate suspension of Indigenous and Black children in schools. It states that the board and administrators will be held accountable for the disproportionality and will work towards alternative approaches to suspension. The U.S. House of Representatives held a moment of silence to commemorate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol yesterday. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell called the attack a dark day for Congress in our country. A mob of former President Donald Trump supporters stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, to stop the certification of President Joe Biden's electoral victory. 5 people died in the ensuing violence. Trump was later impeached for incitement of insurrection. Over 725 attackers have been charged for the attack so far. The Special House Committee investigating the attack is still ongoing. That's it for the headlines. And now we have with us Maduba Ahmad, a Muslim woman who was awarded the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers by Elizabeth Dowdeswell, the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. The medal recognizes exceptional volunteer achievement, dedication, and commitment. Welcome, Maduba. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, first, congratulations are in order for winning the medal in achievement.
Thank you so much.
My first question had to do with what is your reaction of having received the medal?
It's been an incredibly humbling experience. For me, I've never volunteered with the thought of being awarded for it. And so it was very surprising. I actually learned first that I was a recipient back in February of 2020. And the ceremony had just been prolonged because of COVID-19. And it originally would have been held at Queen's Park. But I was very pleasantly surprised when the Lieutenant Governor's office reached out to me and asked if I wanted a private ceremony with my friends and family there. And I, of course, said yes, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to celebrate the moment with them. And I think that it's a blessing. I'm very excited for it. I'm excited that it could open opportunities for me to volunteer further in different capacities. I feel so honored to be recognized by this medal and by the community that nominated me. And it's just been a very exciting experience, I think, for my family, especially, and a very proud moment for them, especially my parents. So that felt really good that everyone was kind of happy, not just me.
Mm-hmm. And you listed quite a few experiences for volunteers. I noticed one that had to do with the Parliament of Religions. So, what can you tell us about your experience with this interfaith group for the Toronto chapter?
Yeah, Parliament of the World's Religions, incredible experience and incredible community that I got introduced to. So, because I've been so deeply involved with Muslim Fest, that led me to be involved with a interfaith panel that was taking place. I got introduced to the Canadian Interfaith Conversation, where they picked me to project manage starting a new generation interfaith initiative with them, and so I did. And from there, they nominated me to be a youth member on the board of directors. And I have just met the most incredible people as a Muslim. It was just so exciting to see people of different faiths come together, and we were so similar in our work within the community and what we wanted to accomplish with the parliament. The parliament itself is an international organization. It's been around since um, for over 100 years at least, and it was definitely very exciting to be a part of. I've learned so much and I've built so many new relationships. And so it was just great to put together a 7-day conference at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. We had over 900 workshops and speakers from all over the world that flew in, and we had over 10,000 attendees that actually booked local hotels to stick around for the entire 7 days. And so it was a lot of fun. I've learned so much, and I built a lot of incredible friendships along the way.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to pick up on something you mentioned in a previous interview. You said that in a way you sacrificed your education for volunteering. What did you mean by this?
I think, for me at a very young age, so we're talking 18, 19, I did start university after I graduated high school, but very quickly I learned that my heart was just somewhere else and I wanted to do other things. And it was a bit of a trade off. I think my parents definitely feel like I sacrificed, in the very cultural sense of the word, my education to pursue volunteerism. For me, I traded off learning inside of a classroom to learn from the world, learn from the community, learn from leaders, get real life hands on experience. And um, it was well worth it. I do wish that I had sometimes I wish I had continued my post secondary education, and I do plan to complete it sometime in the near future. Um, but yeah, it was a very healthy trade off, I think.
Mm-hmm. And you've taken what some might consider an unconventional pathway, but it's proven very effective for you. And so, what is it like being a female and a visible Muslim in volunteering?
It's been, in some ways, it's been great. I think that I get noticed a little bit more because I am the odd female that's a visible minority that has the hijab on her head. I'm a woman of color. And so I think that it's helped me get noticed in some ways. And I think in other ways, I was very much stereotyped. A lot of my volunteer experience is leadership experience. And so not always was I easily welcomed at this leadership table, regardless of which organization or project it might be, because of those biases that people don't realize they might hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always tried to leverage it in a positive way, in the sense that I wouldn't really back down, and I'm there to do the work, and I'm there for the community, and I'm there for the organization more than sort of like the people dynamic. And I think I've been able to take it as positively as I can. And again, just being noticed in that capacity, just trying to leverage that energy, and you put your best foot forward, your best intentions forward, and people do pick up on it, is what I've learned in my experience. And I think that's really helped me get to where I am today.
Mm-hmm. And in all of these experiences, have you ever, or can you recall sort of like a wow moment that you had during this time?
Yeah, I think maybe my first year as event director for Muslim Fest. I was 22 years old at the time, and you're directing a festival with thousands of attendees, hundreds of thousands of dollars in budget, and then you have hundreds of volunteers that you're organizing. And I think I was just running on pure adrenaline the entire year. This was 2015, and subhanallah, to come, you're on that stage, the welcoming ceremonies are on their way, and the shows are going on, and I think you get to truly see when you're involved deeply within an organization the kind of impact something has. And so for me to really and truly feel and see just how multicultural and how incredibly you know, our programming represented so many groups, and to see those faces and communities reflected in the audience, and that they felt at home, and that they love coming to Muslim Fest because they feel so connected to everyone else and we're all so different. I think for me, that was like my wow moment that kept me going and said, I know what I want to do in my life and I know how I want to engage people. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you've been involved with organizations or events such as Muslim Fest for quite a few years now. What is something that you've noticed as more of a personal growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think 2021 was my 13th year of Muslim Fest, and I think that I've been blessed to have some great mentors. I've also been blessed to have a lot of people who rightfully challenged me when I was trying to do different things, and that really helped me advocate for myself and my ideas. So there was a lot of learning in that capacity. I learned that volunteerism can take you to great measures. So I don't have an undergrad, but my job with the city of Mississauga started because I was hired as an effective organizer for Muslim Fest. That led me through various positions within the city. I was last year executive assistant for one of the counselors. I now work with the city of Toronto, and I understand I don't have an undergrad necessarily, but um, I've really been able to advocate for a lot of my experiences and skills that I've gained through all of these projects, and kind of just show that I'm able to be someone and be something without having this formal education. Um, and yeah, I think for me, like going forward, it's just that it's how to make the most of my experiences, how to continually develop and push myself to grow. This medal doesn't mean I've gotten a stamp of approval and things are at the end for me. I take it as a responsibility, as I have a lot more to do and a lot more growing to do. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I know we're running out of time, but quickly, I know a lot of people struggle with managing their work life as well as volunteering. What is something that you can say to them to help them manage this struggle?
do what do what you love. I so strongly love what I do for my volunteer work. I so strongly love what I do as a job that I've made time, and you'll always have to give up something for another. And one of the greatest things I've learned is prioritizing, and I continue to learn. So I'm not the greatest at it, but if you're doing what you love, you'll make time for it, you'll prioritize, and you'll do your best. And I think even if you can't spend as much time on something, but you're putting your all into that particular limited time, you'll still achieve what you're trying to achieve. So figure out who you are and what you want to do and work towards that.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, Maduba, for joining us today. Once again, congratulations and all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. But in the meantime, stay safe and God bless.